Let's go, guys. This is gonna be a transmission of I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's coming. Let's try something new here. Let's try to zone into the collective field. Oh my days, a lot of disturbance patterns. Whew. Like collective field is super disturbed. Why? Because there's commotion. How is this serving us? Well, wow. What do we do in the storm? What do we do when everything is breaking apart? What do we do when nothing makes sense? Taram taram tam tam, taram taram tam tam. Turn to the inner self. There is so much potential within you that needs to open up space, and the space comes through the shedding of the known compartments. What does that mean? The next stage of our evolution here is too unpredictable. It's more crazy, more impossible than anybody might expect. So even in your wildest expectation, even in your dreamiest of dreams, it's far from it. And it might feel way uncertain if we don't know what are we planning for. Okay, what's the goal? What's the strategy? Because we have the linear mind that wants to do storytelling, basically. This is our subtitle mind that creates a story. Go like, this is me. Based on where I was, I can construct a probability sequence, a storyline of where I'm going. And this storytelling mind is actually something that we're evolving out of. Or actually, we're integrating the whole capacity for storytelling, but we are growing out of identification with that. Okay, so we assimilate the ego. It becomes something that we have dabbled in, we have played in, and it becomes a toy that's in our ensemble, but not the reference point anymore. Interesting. How does the ego work? Well, let's say you have here physicality, physical appearance of reality. That is an information stream, but it's a looping one. So in the physical appearance of reality, objects stay where I put them. For example, this I put on the table here, and then tomorrow I come into this room and it's here. So that's an unbroken feedback loop, okay, because I haven't tampered with that. And so physicality allows us to have this museum-like experience where all the ideas gravitate to stay in the position and in the ensemble where we have last left them. Okay? Now, what moves here and what is creating the chaotic vibe that I'm picking up from the collective sphere is people, our minds. We're multitasking beings. We have emotions. We're all over the place right now. Okay? Humanity is doing a gazillion different things. And all of these things, they're balancing and counterbalancing. Okay, every idea has a countering idea. Every perspective has a countering perspective. And if you're balancing the counterpoints, well, then you're not taking sides. You say, okay, so whatever is my truth, the opposite is also true. So I'm going to take it lightly, the middle way. Okay? If I try to propel myself into one extreme, it's like this new reality does not allow us to identify with the perspective for too long. Why? Because it oscillates faster. So as we used to have an identity that says we are Republican. Tomorrow we might be democratic, feeling more democratic. Next day we might feeling more Republican. That makes sense. So what is the ego? What is the storytelling, the subtitling machine that's embedded in our heads? So on one level you have physical reality that stays somewhat consolidated to where we last experienced it. But we are also experiencing this to start to glitch, to start to shift, to start to quantum jump. So stuff is happening that is showing us that the arrangement of the physicality has been the reference point for us, but is becoming something that is now under our consciousness. So we could say mind over matter, right? The matter used to be the reference point, but now the mind can rearrange the matter. Okay? So let's say like this. In the 3D, we actually take input from the circumstances. We actually need to be learning how to dance and move through the circumstances, walk around the walls, know how to use the door, open the door, have the key. Yeah? But now you might think, okay, oh, wait, I forgot the key. I have to go back all the way. And you can be like, wait, I'm sure it's unlocked. Yeah. And you change with your assumption, you change and you go there and you press the doorknob, right? You like open. It's like, oh, it was open. Thank God. So these little nudges towards a higher dimensional paradigm have been happening to everyone to a degree that's higher or lesser based on how much you're open to not be in control. Because if you have surrender, if you have spaciousness, then the intuition can come in and say, but what if we start believing that the door is now unlocked? And the ego is, no, I remember locking it. But what if we pretend that even though we can reference that we locked the door, we start playing right now, pretending like we didn't lock it. Door opens. Oh my God, what is this now? Well, you are in the time feedback loop, so there is the experience of time looping in your reality. Otherwise I couldn't be talking, and already 8 minutes 55 seconds 57 seconds expanded from this video transmission. But where am I talking from? I'm not inside of time. I'm observing the screen on which time appears as a construct. So I'm talking from outside of time. I'm talking from 0 point. I'm talking from pure consciousness. And this act becomes time. My acting here as someone creates time. So we are all creating time as we go about our experience. Now, if we are sitting, is the time really going on? Well, yes, maybe for everybody else who's doing something at this moment. They're actually anchoring into the flow of events and maybe co-creating some events. And these events, at the moment, as I said, they're a bit chaotic. They're a bit chaotic in the global sphere. Okay, so on the playground, kids are playing and they're playing different games, and you're sitting on a bench and you're not interacting. Is the time going on for you? Well, in reference to their time, you are in stillness, and if your perspective in stillness is absolute, then you have no experience of time. If you start to look at what somebody is doing and they're doing something, and you take that time, okay, so like the human collective right now, they're doing stuff. If you take that as the reference, then relative to that, time is going on. So their time sequence is going on everywhere. But when you start to play, this is when you join one of these time sequences. Now, beauty of this is if you stay outside of time, you can choose the moment when you come in, but you can also recreate the potential of what's going to happen before you ever step in. Okay? Your mind creates a timeline, and that you step into the first person body immersion and you go there, and things happen in the way that you have invoked them, in the way that you have projected them. Okay? Because your projector, your mind, is above reality. How does the mind work? You think about the future, you're browsing the timeline potentials. You think about the past, or you say I recollect or I remember. You're browsing the timeline potential. So to the 3D ego, the past is assumed as a linear sequence. This was my life. I was born in Russia. And then prompted by my prompt, my query, the mind says, okay, so I was born there, and then I went to school, and then I went here, and then I did this, and then I did that. So cool. I have my history now. It's a story. And I have the subtitling mind telling it to you. But what if I query my mind and say, I was born in Nigeria. I had 3 sisters. I used to play soccer in the street. My mom was a middle school teacher. My father was a truck driver. So that sequence is the mind constructing from things that happened. Now, here's the twist. What is real and what is a fantasy? Well, if I open my eyes and I look at my current reality, and like I'm a Russian dude, and in my story that I'm a boy from Nigeria that grew up become a Nigerian man, I would be a black man, maybe living in Nigeria. And then I interface with my physical reality here, and I say, well, no, that's not true, because everything that's referenced to me kind of has more congruency with the story that I was born in Russia. Now, do you believe me that I'm a Nigerian man? Or does it make sense that I'm actually a Russian man? Well, actually, I'm not even Russian. I'm not even Nigerian. Actually, I'm consciousness experiencing a time loop. And what would have the most reference is that right now I'm in Serbia, and then my mind will say, well, you were born in Serbia. I will say, okay, Serbia is not Russia, by the way. And I say, okay, so yeah, I was born here. And so there are feedback loops and anchor points in my current reality where I can recognize objects and people from wherever I spent, like whatever was evolving through my previous loop. Some people are repeating, some objects are repeating. Even this room right here was different, but I remember this building, I remember this room from before. So now the mind says, okay, I'm going to reference then the physical reality as real, yeah, and then my story, to be real, it needs to be congruent with this physical reality. If I was just telling you that I'm a Chinese man from Beijing, that I'm a Taoist philosopher, would that make sense in congruency with this feedback loop of what is left in the physical around me? So it wouldn't. But the catch here is that the mind is just sequencing pictures. Whether you're thinking about your future, whether you're thinking about the past, the mind has no actually idea what is real or what is not. Okay? It can create sequence by query. So whatever you're assuming is true, your mind's going to create a story around that. And then it happens that we make the story congruent with the physical reality, because we also assume that we want to talk about what's real and we don't want somebody to call us a liar, or we don't want to lie. So we're trying to describe how we interpret reality on a mental computer in reference to what is physical. And this was a 3D. Okay? So as you call in then the images, how you was a Nigerian boy and your mother was a teacher and you play soccer in the street, you're seeing like flickering pictures are going through your mind. If your eyes are open, they might be like going too fast to actually see because they're on a different frame rate than the physical reality, but they're actually pictures that are coming. And you know who these pictures are coming from? From some actual boy in Nigeria. That is you. How? Because you are one consciousness that is experiencing everything and everyone. You see? So you're tapping into a potential, but this live stream, this memory or this future, it's not belonging to you as a body, but it belongs to you as a consciousness. So when we have the story, when we have the ego, when we have the time continuum storyline, and I'm identified with my body, well, then I'm this person and my story defines me, but then I'm somewhat constricted in my feedback loops because I'm always referencing the past, I'm always repeating the past. I'm not thinking outside of the box. But if I'm consciousness experiencing this body, what is my identity? Well, the body is not my identity. It's a makeup of pixels that are condensed into this physical expression. And you know what? Could I modulate my DNA and become a Nigerian? Probably. But it would take a little bit more focus and energy to transmute things, okay, on a physical level that are already crystallized because they have many layers of memory. Simple as that. Your whole DNA is a memory structure. So to modulate all of that, it's I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's an endeavor. Okay, but then if I'm tapping into an idea that I'm actually somebody else, what can I say then? Oh, that's a parallel life, that's a past life, that's another life. That I can go into first person. Okay, so I don't go physically there, or even so I could go physically there if I shut down this completely. Shut down my nervous system, shut down this body, I could actually relocate the camera from this talking head into another talking head. And not just a Nigerian boy, but actually, just for reference, I would go out of my body and then go on another planet and become somebody there. and then live a life and have a career in that time loop, or that time spiral, okay? Because it's not really just looping in circle, it's kind of like evolving. It's a loop that evolves, so it's a spiral, expanding spiral loop, call it that. So I go into that time construct in another life, completely another culture, a different civilization, different planetary grid, and I live there, and I have years of experience, okay, days and days and days of like going on a job and having a career and doing something really interesting. And then I retract my consciousness, I retrieve my consciousness from that experience back into here, okay? And then I wake up here and I'm like, that was an hour ago. Like I went into meditation and that was an hour ago in this time spiraling loop construct here. But over there, I just did a whole lifetime of doing stuff. And then I came back and like here, it was an hour. So time is relative. But to you as consciousness, pure consciousness, not immersed into any of these Netflix shows, you know, that you're watching. Sometimes you're jumping from one show, then you watch 2 episodes, then you put that to sleep, put that reality to sleep, then you open up another one, you watch another one. What? Now you're a multidimensional being, you know, you're crossing from one reality into another. You see how that works? So you as consciousness, not immersed into any time construct, where are you? 0 point, there's no time. No time there. Because there's no sequence of events that evolve in any type of way. So as we are in this plane, in this planet right now, our consciousness moves away from, first of all, being influenced by the environment. Taking that outside of you as a reference of what is true, or what is real. The I am consciousness is the only absolute and real thing. Other things are pixels in arrangement. And yeah, when these arrangements loop, they become habitual. And then we can create collective agreements. We can call them defaulted. Real? Okay, yeah, real, but they're just defaulted sequences of pixels. So that would be your real estate. You know, because a house, you build a house, it's called real estate. It stays there. And everybody can reference it because now everybody has to walk those walls. Like even inside of those walls, or find windows to crawl through, or go around the house or around the fence. So that's a real estate. Is it real? Yeah. It's defaulted into the physical appearance. So we do interact with the physical appearances, and we can touch, lick, and smell houses and fences. And yeah, it's real for us. But ultimately, who's real? Still, consciousness is more real than real estate. You see? So how to navigate then crazy reality, crazy planet, so interactive, so full of themes, so full of different peoples and stories. Now, especially because everything is becoming like faster, turned up, and there's so much information. And everybody's telling you something, telling you what to do. All these talking heads on YouTube are throwing some kind of like thumbnails and like numbers, money figures, whatnot. Put yourself into 0 point. Experience nirvana. There's nothing moving, there's no momentum, there's no life, there's no death, there's no time loops. Your consciousness, immersing yourself into screen of reality, you're watching this Netflix. No need to rush, no need to panic, no need to even believe anything, no need to talk to anyone if you don't feel inspired. Live from the now moment. This was a spiritual teaching that has been preparing us for this day and age. Because now we are the masters of time sequences. We are the projectors, we are the editors. We're not just a first-person actor that's caught up in the movie drama. They don't know what's happening and they have to survive and their automobiles, and I have to survive in the physical environment. Nope. Nope. That's the game. That's the construct. That's the virtual reality. That's the movie. But you are also director, editor, producer, not just somebody surviving. Somebody throws an orange at you and you're like, I have to dodge oranges, I have to dodge banana peels. Super Mario now dodging banana peels, jumping, surviving. Oops. You're also what is called your higher self, which is just that consciousness that organizes the appearance of your loops. And what it means to be the higher self, you can reloop, you can, like, literally you could be the first person dying in a ditch and then reloading yourself, like, one up, let's go again. The higher self is you, like, from a little hub, you have a little production studio here, and you're organizing your reality and your feedback loops, and you're keeping them congruent, you're keeping them continuous for your own first person immersion pleasure and reference. Otherwise, nothing is fixed. Everything can appear in whatever way you choose it. You are God of your timeline, literally. So there you go. Think about that.